Hello everyone, Jack and Fraser here from Cultaholic Wrestling. Very sad breaking news to report, as we have learned via the official Twitter account of the Iron Sheik that the wrestling legend sadly passed away today at the age of 81. It's really recent news. We've only just learned it, but hopefully it's a chance to celebrate what a wonderful, legendary career he's had.
One of the greatest of all time in terms of just as a pure character.
An iconic wrestling character.
And it's like everyone knows the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
I think even outside of wrestling, it's sort of a thing.
He's one of those golden age of wrestling characters that has really crossed over into the occasional mainstream references, like Hulk Hogan, like Randy Savage. Randy Savage was both, but they were primarily the good guys. You've always got to have a heel counterpart. And in terms of iconic wrestling heels, the Iron Sheik is one of the most iconic and greatest of all time.
Oh, he's up. Yeah, definitely. It's crazy that someone, when you mentioned there the face characters going over mainstream culture, that someone as a heel can do that.
Yes.
That it just shows the level that he was at.
It's incredibly impressive, and just goes to show what an iconic figure he was. Obviously also a figure who has carried on into the mainstream as well. You mentioned off camera his legendary shoot interviews and that sort of stuff.
Of course.
He's just always carried that very entertaining persona in or outside of the ring, and has just always been a figure who's been passed down from generation to generation. Yeah,
it's always been a presence in the world of wrestling. Everyone knows the Iron Sheik. It's going to be strange going forward.
There was an official statement released on his Twitter account which reads, "Today we gather with heavy hearts to bid farewell to a true legend, a force of nature, and an iconic figure who left an incredible mark on the world of professional wrestling. It is with great sadness that we share the news of the passing of the Iron Sheik, but we also take solace in knowing that he departed this world peacefully, leaving behind a legacy that will endure for generations to come," which kind of echoes what we've said there.
Yeah.
It also says, "Beyond the wrestling persona that the world knew so well, the Iron Sheik was a devoted family man. He cherished the love and support of his wife of 47 years, Carol, who stood by his side through thick and thin, offering unwavering encouragement throughout his life. Their bond was an anchor, providing them with the strength to face the challenges that life presented." It goes on and says, "To his children, Tanya, Nikki, Marissa, and son-in-law Eddie, he was not just a wrestling icon, he was a loving and dedicated father. He instilled in them the values of perseverance, determination, and the importance of following their dreams. The Iron Sheik's guidance and unwavering belief in their potential served as a driving force for his children, empowering them to become the best version of themselves."
And that's the thing, we've seen him as this wrestling character throughout most of people, for the past at least 50 years, more than that even. It's crazy, and you forget that behind that character of the Iron Sheik, he's as it says in the statement there, he was a devoted family man. He's got a family that saw another side to him that maybe the wrestling world didn't get to see, because he was such an iconic figure of that era of kayfabe and keeping everything sort of within the industry, and he did that for years and years and years.
It's one of the great enduring wrestling personas, and anybody can do an impression of an Iron Sheik impression to another wrestling fan, and they will instantly know who they're talking about.
Absolutely.
I think I've unfortunately never met the Iron Sheik, but I've seen him in the flesh, which was at WrestleCon one year in 2016. We were queuing up to get in, and we heard whoever were his, I guess, kind of the people ushering him into the venue started shouting "Sheiky baby" and wheeled him through, and everyone got out of his way because of the Iron Sheik. But he was you could tell he was just absolutely loving it, and once again maintaining that iconic persona. Just a real wrestler's wrestler in that regard.
His last appearance for the WWE anyway came on Raw back in 2010 in a segment with Santino Marella, Nikolai Volkov, and Vladimir Kozlov, where they were singing the Soviet anthem. And then he starts ranting about Hulk Hogan, and his mic gets cut off. And I think for that to be his last appearance in WWE TV, although 13 years ago now, perfectly encaptures
really fitting
who the Iron Sheik is. He's obviously Hogan being one of his most iconic opponents in the ring, and sort of his rival throughout his career. In fact, he was involved in what many consider to be that birth of Hulkamania, because in that era Hulk was still coming through the ranks, and Sheik was at the top of the industry.
Yes, he famously dropped the belt to Hulk Hogan in Madison Square Garden, which as you've said, arguably led to the ignition of Hulkamania, basically. Also, I think that Sheik's an important figure in the lineage of that title, and maybe in the history of the WWE, or F as it was known then, because There's, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I can certainly see it being legit back in the day that Bob Backlund was hesitant to drop the title to somebody who wasn't a legit shooter, a wrestler like himself, an amateur wrestler. He didn't want to drop it directly to Hogan. Apparently Sheik was kind of the interim, and if it hadn't been for Iron Sheik willingly winning the belt from Backlund, then dropping it to Hogan not too long after, then we may have never even seen Hulkamania. We've
never seen Hulkamania.
The whole wrestling world as we know it may have never ended up the same.
Because of Iron Sheik. And what an incredible life. 81 years old. Like that's a good life he's lived there. And again, it's all the memories of the Iron Sheik with Hulk Hogan and
Sergeant Slaughter, another famous adversary of his. The boot camp match is possibly Iron Sheik's most well-regarded match. Yeah. I'd say his most famous match might even be, he was, of course, he was an iconic part of WrestleMania 1. Teaming with Nikolai Volkov to take on Wyndham and Rotunda. Just one of those kind of figures of that period, that golden age of wrestling, whose legacy is without question.
Not only a rival of Sergeant Slaughter, would go on like team with him as well at points as well. So it's one of those ones. Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan are the two when I think of Iron Sheik that the names that come up as part of his career. It's just it's shocking news to always hear someone passing, and especially a legend such as Sheik. And there's some reactions from around sort of the wrestling world.
These are very these
fresh.
Are very we haven't seen that many because the news is so new at the time of recording. Basically, we've not seen too many reactions, but undoubtedly there will be so many people sharing their memories, their favorite matches, their favorite moments of Iron Sheik on social media for the next however long. So do look out for all of that. But we are going to share a few that we've seen already. We've seen the likes of Lance Storm say RIP to the Iron Sheik, respect the legend always. Nick Aldis.
There was a nice photo with that one as well, with Lance Storm and Iron Sheik at some point in the past. But I imagine that, as you said, we'll see sort of those memories pop up on our feed where we'll see photos of Iron Sheik, maybe not as a character that we know him, but
the man behind the character.
Behind it,
We'll probably hear people share, as has happened when many beloved wrestling figures sadly pass away, we'll probably hear stories that we never would have expected to hear, sharing, as we've said, the man behind the camera, basically. At the moment, it's all about his legacy. It's all about how great he was. Nick Aldis says there will never be another like him. Again, that's very true. He was one of the more unique figures in wrestling history as well.
Yeah, and again, it's another character that is so unique and sort of never been done before, and likely will never be done again.
Not in the same way.
In the same way, or in the same sort of held in the same light. He was truly one of a kind.
Evil Uno, RIP the Iron Sheik. Ariel Helwani has also said, rest in peace, Sheiky, what a legend. Ariel Helwani has, I think, shown himself to be quite a fan of the old school wrestling. He's famously said that he's a big fan of WrestleMania 4 as an event. He's famously sung the praises of Billy Graham, for example. So this will hit home with a whole generation of potentially even lapsed wrestling fans who haven't followed the product too much in recent years or even decades. But the Iron Sheik is the sort of unifying massive character, this iconic name who can bring the wrestling world together. Even as unfortunate as it is that he's passed away, he will, I think, be seen as a unifying force in wrestling.
Absolutely. We keep on mentioning the word iconic, and I think that's the best way to sum him up. There is no one like the Iron Sheik, and there will never be anyone like the Iron Sheik again. He is a true icon.
Absolutely. Do, of course, share your favorite memories and Iron Sheik moments in the comment section down below. And it goes without saying we extend our best wishes to his friends and family. RIP the Iron Sheik, but what an amazing, amazing wrestling figure.